Fallout fans? Chris Bolts, and I'm coming in with an episode recap and review of this season's final episode, episode 8, The Strip. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, this episode, overall, I'll just be right up front. This is the best episode of the entire season. Somehow, they were able to stick the landing on this particular episode with a lot of the beats that they were trying to accomplish. Let's go ahead and get right off in this. We're going to start off first with a war that was actually started back in, I want to say, episode maybe 3, maybe 4, between the various factions of the Caesar Legion. Now, what was happening between the Caesar Legion was the old Caesar was dead, and he had left a note that was supposed to go in there and to decide who was actually going to be the new Caesar, and that set off a civil war between the two factions here. And we have Macaulay Culkin's character coming in. He's bringing in the body of the dead Caesar, and he's going to pick up a note right here. And that note actually says right here that the Caesar, this Caesar that's on the ground right there, he is the last Caesar. He is the only Caesar, and everything with Caesar's Legion dies with him. That absolutely enrages Macaulay Culkin. He kills this guy right here because he's the only other guy that knows that the Caesar, or could potentially know if what the Caesar had said. So Macaulay Culkin does the Home Alone thing. He jams his knife into his belly, cuts him off, and now he eats the letter and he crowns himself Caesar. So that basically sums up that a little civil war right there. Was that we got closure right there for that particular civil war. Then we go over here, we come over back to the strip, and Robert House is so happy to see his longtime friend Cooper Howard. They have a nice little discussion here about the machinations of what's going on. And just spoiler alert, it's not really a spoiler because it was established in the last episode, the penultimate episode, that the Enclave is the ultimate villain in this entire Fallout series, maybe in the Fallout franchise. I know some people might take issue with that and everything, because it seems like a lot of what's going on with the Fallout, with this Fallout series, is there's some, I know some people probably take issue with it, but I think there's a lot of retconning that's going on, a lot of more streamlining of lore, for lack of a better word. And the Enclave is being set up to be the ultimate villain for the whole entire Fallout franchise. So that's basically what the Robert House is telling Cooper Howard, or the Ghoul. He calls him Cooper Howard because he still remembers him as Cooper Howard, that the Enclave is the one that has been going around doing a lot of the bad things in the wasteland, and the Ghoul / Cooper Howard actually points a gun at the cold fusion that is basically powering this AI that is Robert House. And Robert House says, hey, you can go ahead and shoot that. You might blow up this planet, but you can go ahead and do that and everything like that. But it definitely will resolve things. But for people for people who have unfinished business, it won't actually solve anything for them. And that's basically him making a reference to the Ghoul, because the Ghoul's ultimate goal is to find his family. He wants to find Barbara Howard. He wants to find his daughter, Janie Howard. And so he calls the thing off. The Ghoul decides not to go in there and blow up the cold fusion that's powering Robert House. In fact, he decides to go ahead and become Robert House's temporary employee, as Robert House, like I say, everybody eventually comes to work for him. And that's indeed what happens right here, where a special drawer opens with a special Pip-Boy that he has to go ahead and equip to his arm, that basically is his ability to go ahead and carry around Robert House as he's going through this entire vault. Now we're going to come over here to the outside the strip, where Maximus and Thaddeus and the rest of the New Vegas citizens are getting ready to face down with these Deathclaws. And this is something of a redemption arc for Maximus. Maximus, for me, this episode actually somewhat changed my whole entire view of Maximus. What I would say is this: if they were setting up Maximus to be a hero, which is basically what he is in this entire episode, if they were setting him up to be a hero, they went about the worst way possible of doing it. They had him tied to the clumsy Brotherhood of Steel. And the Brotherhood of Steel storyline was absolutely atrocious. But be that as it may, it ultimately led to this point right here where Maximus is just going balls to the wall, fighting all these Deathclaws in this new California Republic power armor. And he was really lighting everything up there, having a good old time fighting these Deathclaws one after the other. They just kept coming at him. It's kind of interesting that they used the old kung fu film technique where you don't jump. The Deathclaws don't jump Maximus all at once. They instead decide to go ahead and fight him one-on-one, which truthfully, if this was real life, I don't think any of those Deathclaws would not have stood a chance against the Deathclaws. So again, plot convenience calls for these Deathclaws to fight Maximus one-on-one. But that little nitpick aside, I really like the fact that Maximus really stood up and became the hero that he was meant to be in this series, and he's taken on all these Deathclaws. And by the way, in the prior episode, I said there were 4 Deathclaws, where there were a lot more Deathclaws than just 4 in this little strip area in front of Lucky 38. So yeah, these Deathclaws are just coming out one after the other, coming to fight Maximus. Then we transition over here. This, as confirmed, this is the congressman that was in that vehicle with the president, who, by the way, the president, again, this is not too much of a spoiler, as you can infer it. The president happens to be the leader of the Enclave, and that was again confirmed in this particular episode right here, when Cooper Howard had given the cold fusion over to the president. He was basically giving it to the Enclave. Don't know what she actually did to betray the Enclave, but apparently Hank McClane or someone at the Enclave decided to turn this head into some type of control mechanism. They tore her body off, and she is still alive. She is absolutely still alive. As Lucy tries to get closer to this head suddenly comes to life and says, "Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me." And Lucy really doesn't want to sit there and kill, and she gets so frustrated, but then she eventually grants the head its wish, and she goes in there and whacks it across the head, Gordon Freeman style. If you get the reference, you know what I mean by Gordon Freeman style, because Lucy is walking around with that crowbar. You know, she's getting ready to smack the shit out of that head right there. Now we're going to come over here to what is probably the best outcome for this group of Vault Tech middle managers from Vault 31. Now they were trying to take Norm away to try to go ahead and give him a trial because he was lying to the Vault Tech, because you don't want these people coming out and giving away their secrets or anything like that. And by the way, let me just make a little indication right here. This guy right here, he more than likely does not work for Vault Tech. He probably is an employee of the Enclave. That's my guesstimation on that and everything, and we'll see why in just a moment. But yeah, they're trying to take him and put him on trial for not being truthful with them or anything about who he really was. Again, there she is. She gets hit up against the head right there, and the just desserts for this entire Vault Tech 31. It's good that they actually ended it this way. The rad roaches. They remember that episode where the 2 ladies said what they were answering once they got out of the vault. They were asking, well, what's over in there? And the lady said, oh, that's just a bunch of roaches. Well, these rad roaches are far more vicious than the rad roaches that you see in the game. These things are absolutely vicious. Of course they eat people, but they absolutely just go ahead and just eviscerate these Vault 31 dwellers. And you see Norm get pushed out by this guy. This guy is trying to keep these roaches out, but he's not going to be successful or anything. They're going to get locked in that room with them. And you saw that Norm's girlfriend was also taken off in this room. Don't know why they left Norm alone and didn't go after him. Again, plot convenience demands that Norm survives, and his girlfriend is off in here. Plot convenience demands that she survives too. We'll get to that here in just a moment. So there you see right there, they're all getting their justice verdicts. That's the end of Vault 31. So I'm assuming that maybe the showrunners watch all the reviews, because the Vault 31 story is absolutely weak. The Vault 32 and 33 story is absolutely weak. Maybe they go ahead and read the comments online and the criticisms, because that is a satisfying way to just get rid of a storyline. Send in the roaches, let the roaches eat the people, and that's exactly what happened right there. Just a little bit of the Ghoul just walking down this vault right here. This is the same vault where we saw Hank McClane and the Caesar legions that were captured. He's in the exact same spot where Lucy is actually as well, and so they're just talking right there. Now we're back over into the strip where we see a Maximus is just fighting with everything he's got inside of that power armor against all these Deathclaw. And this being New Vegas, everybody inside of here start betting on how long Maximus will hold out against the Deathclaws. Thaddeus actually is redeeming himself just a little bit as well. He comes in and says, hey, I'm gonna bet everything on Maximus winning, 500 bottle caps, and not one of these people actually starts dripping down and trying to take any of Maximus, or rather Thaddeus's bottle cap, because he opens up his pants here and he just starts shaking all, and you see all the bottle caps that just falls out of his pocket, and he says, this is how I was making my money. They just look at him and then they just go back and betting against Maximus or betting for Maximus. We go into the vault again. Hank actually has himself freed. He catches up with his daughter Lucy, and Hank has different ideas. He's been trying to perfect that transmitter. This transmitter actually has perfected it to such a state to where it's actually small, very, very small. Now, I don't know how he was able to do all that or anything, whether he was able to make this transmitter much smaller than what it is, but I'm assuming that he probably had a little bit of help from the Enclave throughout this entire endeavor. Either that or these transmitters were perfected before the bombs had dropped. But what he wants to do with this transmitter is actually install it onto his own daughter, which is some really sick shit that he wants to do. Then we go back over here to Cooper and the Ghoul. Well, Cooper / the Ghoul, and this is where we got some other information. You see, Stephanie is with Hank McClane. They started, well, right here, this is where they first met, but they did get married. This is going to come up later in the episode. So once again, small world. These two met in the past 200 years ago, thanks to Barb and Cooper Howard. Of course, we all know that Hank McClane is an employee of the Enclave, but at the time he was playing like he was an employee of Vault Tech, and she was able to get in connection with him. And here's an interesting part right here. Advertising boards. Let me go back to just a little bit right here as these two are walking off. As he walks by, you notice this right here. It says, "You never know. Don't wait until it's too late. Reserve your spot today." And then he's gonna walk by this advertisement for Lucky 38. You never know. You notice, you see that the message is the same on both of them. You never know. You never know. So this is like a call out to Cooper Howard. You see that surprised look on his face as well. But as he's walking through here, suddenly a lot of the phones are going to start ringing. Obviously, as you hear all these phones ringing, that is obviously Robert House trying to get in contact with Cooper Howard, and he's going to try to let him know something. But we'll get back to that here in just a moment. This is the scene right here where we see that Hank actually pulls out that really small transmitter, and he's been telling Lucy, oh, this transmitter, we are very advanced in this technology. So pretty soon you won't even be able to see it, is what he says. That's a little bit of foreshadowing there as well. And in fact, it's already been perfected, and you'll see why here in just a moment. That really big guy from the Caesar's Legion, He's now acting as a henchman for Hank McClane. He does actually grab her, and so that way he can go ahead and put that transmitter off in there. And then we got right here with the Ghoul, and the vault tech was a vault within a vault, and here it is right here. This is the vault underneath Lucky 38, and then we have this bigger vault that is Robert House tells Cooper Howard / the Ghoul that this vault is where his family is located. And then we come back over here. Finally, Maximus is still fighting all those Deathclaws, and soon they're not as durable as you think they are, because as he's fighting this Deathclaw, he's about to really get hurt right here. We see Thaddeus get on the roof, and he's gonna just pop him right in the head. Now, normally in the game, a sniper bullet won't just do that much damage against a Deathclaw, but you saw how it was able to go ahead and get that Deathclaw off of him. And really cool dynamic between Thaddeus and Maximus. Like, again, this is a really good redemption arc for both of these characters. It's a really cool redemption especially for Maximus, because again, his storyline has absolutely been atrocious up until this point, and it was the worst possible way that they can go in there and actually tell a hero's journey story. I didn't really feel like there was a hero's journey story for Maximus, but if you start putting it together and looking at it all that, he did refuse the call. He did get the elixir to get into this armor, because as someone I had commented on my prior video, Shady Sands, the city where Maximus is from, is actually part of the new California Republic, and so that was why Maximus was looking upon the armor with longing and reverence, because the new California Republic meant so much to him as he was growing up, and he was happy to go ahead and don that armor. So it was a poor telling of a hero's journey, but it was a hero's journey nevertheless. And we'll get to the one scene that really changed my view of Maximus. And then right here, we see that Lucy is almost about to have that device installed on her by Hank McClane, but in the nick of time, the Ghoul comes in, shoots that guy in the head, and then shoots her daddy in the leg, and says, "As much as I want to shoot your face off, that's not my job." And then he kicks this small gun over to Lucy. This small gun that she picks up off the ground is I don't know if there's this type of gun that's inside of Fallout. Let me go ahead and rewind it back just a little bit so we can there you go right there. This gun right here. I don't know if there's that small of a gun in Fallout. However, if you are a fan of Men in Black, at least for me, the very first thing I thought of was reminiscent of the Cricket. I don't know if it's gonna have as big of a blast as the Cricket from Men in Black, but she has different ideas. Instead of just killing her daddy, she's gonna take that transmitter, that's a really small transmitter, and put that into the neck of her daddy. But again, we're gonna get to a point where none of that even really matters. And so right here, this is the part that I think really redeems Maximus. He gets out of the suit of armor, and he could start trying to run away. I'm just gonna lay here and I'm just gonna let these the Deathclaws take me. But no, instead what he does right here is he picks up this roulette table and this pool stick. Neither one is going to be able to do anything against the Deathclaw, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is that he is still willing to stay in the fight. He is still willing to stand there and fight these Deathclaws, even though he knows that it will be all in vain. That he just says, you know what, I have to stay here and defend this town by any means necessary. That right there changed my entire perspective of Maximus. That is what a hero's journey is. Not always going to be roses. Sometimes it's very tragic, but right here we see that Maximus is being very heroic. That's what this series really needed, is someone who can actually be a hero. And that is what happens with Maximus right here. Maximus finally rises to his proper role of being the hero of Fallout. And I have nothing but praise for this right here. Now I could champion Maximus because I know exactly that he is the hero. It was a lot of the stuff that he did beforehand was absolutely stupid, like going in there and confronting his adoptive father Quintus and not actually taking the shot to take him out, doing stupid things like starting basically a nascent civil war with the Brotherhood of Steel and not achieving his goals there. That all of that was pretty stupid, leaving the armor, his power armor, in the middle of the Mojave Desert and walking away from it. A lot of things that would just convenience all culminates to this point right here where he actually stands tall and says, hey, I have to do this because I have to defend this town from the Deathclaws. I absolutely love it. In the nick of time, right when he's about to just face off with this Deathclaw, you see Thaddeus still trying to load bullets in his sniper rifle. As this Deathclaw runs up on him, it gets popped in the head. He looks up at Thaddeus and Thaddeus says, no, it wasn't me. He says, no, look over there. And that's where Maximus looks and you see the New California Republic in their classic gear. This is another call out. I forgot which Fallout. It's on New Vegas. If you look at the box art for Fallout New Vegas, this is the New California Republic. That they're on the box art for Fallout New Vegas. And so the New California Republic actually comes in and takes out the Deathclaws and lines up to start fighting the remaining Deathclaws. Is more of New California Republic coming in to finally clean up what should have been cleaned up a long time ago. The Maximus is very proud that he was able to stand tall right there. The final place between that Lucy and her father, this is where her father basically drops a whole bunch of stuff on her. He basically tells her, hey, all of this is for naught. I actually had put in a lot of people out in the wasteland. These little transmitters, you can't even tell that they're there, and that they have centuries old instructions on how to navigate the wasteland on behalf of the Enclave. And then after he tells her all this, he pushes this button and he erases his memory, because he actually had a transmitter off in him. I think he already had one put in himself as well. You see that button right there, he pushes it and it's already too late. I thought his head was gonna blow up, but no, that would have been too convenient. Instead, it just wipes his memory, and so he no longer knows who Lucy is. It's basically death for Hank McClane. It certainly will be a death for Lucy. This isn't the outcome that Lucy wanted, but it is the outcome that she got. After a long journey, she finally meets back up with Maximus. They finally are back together again, which is absolutely touching. I really love that. I really love the fact that these two are back together. I absolutely love the fact that they kissed at the end of the first season. We don't get a kiss this time around. We just get a really nice hug. It would be kind of weird if they started kissing. So it's actually more touching that they actually do hug and all. It's really great. I really appreciate that. Then we come over here. This is where Stephanie is going to take out this special Pip-Boy that communicates directly to the Enclave. She is still under her old guise, her Canadian self. Don't look at them as humans, look at them as Americans. She's going to put this Pip-Boy on. This is where she's going to announce that she is the wife of Hank McClane and that they need to go ahead and start initiating phase 2. And all these communications starts coming in, one from Hank and then one from Norm. All coming into the Enclave. It's confirmation that there will be phase 2 will be implemented. Now this raises an interesting question. If Stephanie Harper is Hank McClane's wife, is Stephanie also the mother, Lucy and Norm? Interesting thought there, because they were in the same vault together before Betty had turned Stephanie into the overseer for Vault 32. Could it have been that all this time she was around those two and did play like she was not their mother, when in fact she was? Well, we don't have confirmation for that, so it's just all speculation at this point. But yeah, that seems to be the logical conclusion, that if she's Hank McClane's wife, then unless Hank McClane was doing the hanky-panky with some other people, with some other woman, Stephanie would be the mother to Lucy and Norm. And speaking of Norm, again, here we have plot convenience. He comes in And notice how his little girlfriend is still alive. Oh, she was able to fight off one of those roaches off with a screwdriver, and she is still alive. He's gonna wheel her out on a wheelbarrow. And then we're gonna flash back real quick to the past. Cooper Howard finally answers that phone, and that's where he has that discussion with Robert House, and he starts looking around and notices strange men are all looking around at him. The president actually sold him out, gave him that cold fusion, and then sold him out to the FBI. You see he's getting arrested right here by the FBI, part of the House of Un-American Activities. So he gets arrested. The capsules right here again are empty, but in one of the capsules, the one that supposed to house his wife, as he's telling her that no, you're not going to take any type of responsibility in the past. She leaves a card in the chamber right there, a postcard that says Colorado, and it says on the back of the card, it says Colorado was a good idea. They actually ran off to, they being Barb and their daughter Janie, had run off to Colorado and did not stay in Las Vegas to be put inside the management vault. So they're actually off in Colorado, and this is where the Ghoul says, I quit. He takes off that special Pit Boy that has Robert House on it, leaves it there, and gets up and leaves. We see that Maximus and Lucy are inside of Robert House's penthouse, and they come up to the glass right here, and they see Caesar's Legion marching into New Vegas. And this is what Hank McClain had told Lucy, that hey, you know, the Caesar's Legion are going to come in here, they're going to wipe everything out, including you. And she still had gone ahead and decided that no, it's still best to not have her father around. She actually said, I wanted you to be, the reason why I installed this device onto you is because I want you to become the father that you always wanted to be, not the one that's always constantly lying. Well, we all saw what the result of that was. Hank McClain decided that, nah, I'm going to wipe my memory. I'm going to leave you to all of this. By the way, going back to Hank McClain's scene right there, he lets Lucy know that the Enclave has all kinds of people out in the wasteland, and that the experiment was not the vaults. The wasteland is the experiment. So that's another interesting twist. I'm pretty sure there's some fan theories out there with regards to the games that the actual experiment was the wasteland and not the vaults themselves. But you couldn't tell that to me, because those vaults all had some really interesting experiments associated with them. Maybe those were controlled experiments, and the wasteland is obviously the uncontrolled experiment to see how everything goes. Caesar's Legion marching in. We obviously have the new California Republic, which is already inside of the New Vegas. Maximus and Lucy, they hold hands, also nice and cute, so pretty. They make an attractive couple. I think they make an attractive couple. They're gonna hold hands because they're gonna face it together. Right as they are holding hands looking out the window, we're gonna see a little flash right here of Robert House in this RGB monitor, or is it just green monitor, because there's no red or blue in it, it's just green. And so we're gonna see right here as it's gonna scroll up, and then we got Robert House right there. So that means that Robert House is still around. At least this part of the episode ends with the Ghoul looking out towards Colorado. He is going to be going to Colorado to see if he could find his wife and daughter. That's a long way to go, but hey, he's the Ghoul. He's been around for 200 years. He'll be able to make that track. But that's not where the episode ends. I thought the Brotherhood of Steel was done. No, it's not. It's not done at all. This trans character, I forgot what her name is inside the series here. Don't care about that too much, because I really don't like the Brotherhood of Steel. She brings a special tube to Quintus, and this is where Quintus says, hey, I tried unifying the Brotherhood of Steel. I am not going to be Quintus the Unifier anymore. I am instead going to become Quintus the Destroyer. And you see that you got this blueprint for a very giant mech robot called Liberty Prime Alpha. That is where the episode absolutely ends. So this episode actually begins with Caesar's Legion, and it ends with Brotherhood Steel. So I'm assuming for season 3, along with the Enclave being the primary villain of the entire series, the Caesar's Legion and the Brotherhood of Steel are going to be sub-villains that's going to be causing havoc for our protagonists, Maximus, Lucy, and the Ghoul. I think Fallout Season 2 was able to hit the landing for this season. There were some ups and downs with a lot of the episodes, but for the most part, this episode pretty much tied everything up that was pretty loose inside of Season 2. We got a satisfying ending to the Caesar's Legion. We got a satisfying ending to Vault 31. Vault 32 is still out there. The conflict between Vault 32 and 33 is still out there, but we saw that Stephanie was able to contact the Enclave and initiate phase 2 of whatever it is that they have planned. Brotherhood of Steel, I thought they had gone off and did something, but now we see that we got different plans about what's going to be going down with them. Liberty Prime Alpha is going to become their primary focus. And then we got the Ghoul. We saw that the Ghoul family was not in the primary vault, the manager's vault inside of Vault Tech. They're actually in Colorado, so that's where he's going off to. And we see that Maximus and Lucy have finally found each other again, and they're going to be taking on the Caesar's Legion, assumably with the New California Republic. Still don't know what's going to be happening with Thaddeus, though. There's some fan theories out there that Thaddeus is probably turning into a centaur, but we don't have any other information on that for right now. All we know is that he lost his arm, and he still has all of his faculties about him. So overall, there is just one dangling modifier that was not resolved, and that is what is going to be going on with the super mutants. We did see in the prior episode that the Ghoul had come into contact with the super mutant, and that the super mutant is going to be taken on the Enclave. We don't know what's going to be going on in that. I'm assuming that's going to be addressed in Season 3, which, by the way, was alluded to in an interview a few months ago by Ella Purnell, the actress that plays Lucy, that they had been working on Season 3. So overall, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. I really thought they hit all the right beats on this. I thought they redeemed Maximus. I thought it was a good episode overall. I can't wait to see what they have in store for Season 3. What did you guys think about this episode? Did you think that episode 8, The Strip, did what it needed to do, or was it a letdown? Did you even watch the series at all? Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments and let me know what you think, and make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.